The math of bankruptcy. Iran is not trying to defeat the U.S. Air Force in a conventional fight. They are executing a math equation designed to drain the U.S. Treasury dry, and the numbers prove it is working. Iran is launching waves of Lucas drones. Operation Epic Fury marks the first combat use of this system. A single Lucas drone costs approximately $35,000 to build. That is roughly the price of a used Honda Civic. To shoot that cheap piece of metal out of the sky, the U.S. is launching defensive missiles. These missiles cost as much as a fully equipped hospital. Every VAD interceptor costs between $12.70 and $15.5 million. Every SM-3 missile costs up to $27.9 million. Patriot PAC-3 MSE requires between $4 million and $12 million. Iran is throwing pennies. The United States is burning stacks of $100 bills to block them. In just the first 40 hours of this conflict, U.S. Central Command estimates $6 billion to $10 billion spent. Offensive operations accelerate this drain. Over 200 Tomahawk cruise missiles launched at $2 million each. B-2 stealth bombers fly around the clock, costing American taxpayers $150,000 to $203,000 per hour. The U.S. Navy pays $13 million daily to keep two carrier groups, USS Abraham Lincoln and USS Gerald R. Ford, in the region. Total daily theater operations are hitting $40 million every 24 hours. The system is bleeding out by design. Iran wants a ground war, and they are engineering one by taking the water. Draining the treasury is only the bait. The real objective is to force American soldiers into the dirt. And the weapon they are using to do it is water. Iran's parliamentary speaker said, "You have crossed our red line and must pay the price. We will deliver devastating blows." This is not bluster from a regime that believes it can win a conventional fight. This is a declaration of a falling government. It has decided to take as much of the region down with it as possible. Iran's doctrine shifted to asymmetric endurance, accepting initial damage, preserving strike capability, and using every asset to force the U.S. into an unsustainable ground commitment. The strategy is not to win. The strategy is to bleed. Iran is attacking infrastructure to force a collapse that drags American boots off carriers and onto the ground. Krastyan Kowitz Ulrichsen documents Iran's deliberate targeting of airports, hotels, and oil and gas facilities. This reflects a calculation that Gulf leaders would feel the full impact, forcing them to press Washington for an exit. Qatar shot down two Iranian jets on March 2 in response to strikes on its LNG facilities, confirmed by defense ministries. Now Iran is escalating to the one target that would cause complete societal collapse across the entire Gulf region. Ulrichsen states, "There is concern among Gulf nations that the next step could involve targeting desalination plants. The Gulf states do not have rivers or large aquifers. The entire freshwater supply for tens of millions flows from these plants. Plants now directly in the crosshairs of a regime that has already demonstrated it will hit airports, hotels, and oil terminals. When those plants go down, there is no backup. Cities collapse within 72 hours. Mass panic and displacement. Allied governments will not hold the line. The United States will have no choice but to send infantry in on foot to secure plants, manage displacement, and prevent disintegration of allied governments. That is the meat grinder Iran is building. That is why they are hitting infrastructure in this specific sequence. Airports first. Energy terminals second. Desalination plants next. Iran's military strategy has never been to defeat the U.S. Air Force. It has always been to make the cost unbearable, so the U.S. leaves or collapses trying to hold it together. Defense analyst Tobias Bork notes Iran is more risk-accepting, precisely because it has absorbed the worst the United States can deliver from the air and is still standing and firing. Open-source intelligence networks indicate coalition ground assets are already actively engaged in the theater. The Hengo Organization for Human Rights reports the death toll surpassed 1,500 people in 3 days, including 200 civilian casualties. A girls' elementary school in Minab was struck and destroyed. Iranian Education Ministry cited 153 dead at the school alone. Tankers on fire and the Strait of Hormuz. The final jaw of the trap is the energy choke point. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps formally declared enforcement of a Strait of Hormuz closure, threatening to fire on any vessel attempting to transit. Warnings transmitted via VHF radio to every vessel in the strait. Within 36 hours, 4 commercial tankers were struck in the strait and the Gulf of Oman. Windward's analysis confirms area denial. Designed to stop all commercial traffic regardless of nationality or cargo. It worked. Tanker traffic through the strait is down 70%. Over 150 freight ships are stalled and anchored. War risk insurance has been withdrawn entirely. 27 vessels carrying 12 million barrels of oil are drifting. The Strait of Hormuz carries roughly 20% of all oil and liquefied natural gas traded globally. Ali Viez, the shock of a strait closure would reverberate far beyond energy markets, tightening financial conditions, fueling inflation, and pushing fragile economies closer to recession in a matter of weeks. This is not a market fluctuation. This is a direct assault on the foundation of American economic power. The entire American financial empire rests on the petrodollar. If the world stops depending on the dollar to buy energy, American financial dominance does not weaken, it collapses. If the petrodollar falls, the U.S. Treasury can no longer fund its own debt, including the $10 billion it just burned. The earth is being poisoned. While bodies are counted and the Treasury bleeds, the land itself is permanently damaged. Both sides are hitting this region with high-tech munitions that leave behind deep soil chemical runoff. Environmental toxicologists warn this level of chemical saturation is irreversible. The soil does not recover on any human timescale. The region's capacity to grow food and support life is being damaged for generations, long after the last missile falls. Here is what Hour 72 actually looks like. A regime that knew it was falling decided it would rather burn the entire region down. It is hitting airports, energy terminals, and hotels across 6 countries simultaneously. It is systematically working toward desalination plants, the only source of drinking water for tens of millions of people. It is bleeding the U.S. Treasury at $40 million a day, firing $35,000 drones into a $15 million shield. It has pulled Hezbollah off the sideline, restarted the Houthi Red Sea campaign, activated Iraq's Shia militias, and locked 150 tankers outside the Strait of Hormuz. The soil will not grow food again. And in the middle of all of it, a nuclear-armed Israel is fighting for its survival on every border it has. This did not have to happen. The agreement was on the table February 27. Peace was, in Oman's foreign minister's words, within reach. What came instead was a Truth Social post and the opening of something that has no clean exit. That is what is actually happening at Hour 72.